Hello everyone, it's Jay and
Max, hi.
today I don't know why I just did the gay thing. And today we are doing the same thing. Why am I suddenly so full of light? And today we're doing the same thing that we did last year.
Yes.
And that is telling you about the books that we have read last year.
Yes.
So that means all the books from 2022. How is it not 2022 anymore?
How is it not 2020?
How is it not 2017?
Right.
And before I start, I will show you my little mug of the day. I think I have not shown this one before. It's the same from both sides. Why is it so light all of a sudden? Oh, I guess it's fine. So yeah,
I have energy drink of the day.
yeah, we're the healthy caffeine squad. My coffee is almost cold, so I'm gonna chug it. Yeah, with no further ado, I think we can start.
Yeah, you can go first, I think.
Okay, I'll go first.
You have more books anyway.
So I started this year. Last year I started really strong with my reading, and I had very mature adult book,
Yes.
and that is this one. I will have to listen to brightness. And yeah, so my first book is this one. It's by Czech author, so it's in Czech, and it's called Co musejí morčata, which loosely translates to what the guinea pigs have to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just random stories about these 3 cute guinea pigs, and yeah, very adult reading.
So my first book was this one.
Oh, this one is even worse with the reflection.
Because, it's shiny.
It's reflective, so yeah.
This book is True Spy Stories by Terry Deary. It's a very thin book, but it's basically about spy stories in history. So yeah, that's about it.
My second book is also a thin book, but I promise you, it gets better with the third book. But yeah, this is my second book. And it's actually in Slovak. It's not even in Czech, so it was very funny for me to read. And it's basically the cinematic guide for Harry Potter.
My next book is actually Crafty Crime Busting, but I can't find it. So yeah, it's basically same like size as this one, but it's basically about crime solving, and it's like book for kids, but it's funny. So, yeah.
My third book is one of the only 2 books I think I've read in English. I totally have to read more books in English, but this one, and that is one you all know. It's Frankenstein, and yeah, I don't think I need to add anything to that. We all know Frankenstein, but I have never read Frankenstein before, so yeah.
Okay, so my third book is in Czech. It's Všechny barvy duhy. It's like it has like illustrations there, and it's basically by collective of authors, and it's basically just LGBTQ plus stories.
Yeah, and it's also Czech. All of the authors are Czech.
Czech or Slovak.
Or Slovak, yeah. And yeah, I have read this one too, so I'm not gonna show it later because you've already seen it. You don't need to see it twice in a video. Yeah, so my fourth book is All the Bright Places, or in Czech Všechny malé zázraky, and it's like this basically young adult and depressing.
Yeah.
And that is my kind of shit, so yeah.
And it's it have a movie based on the book, so
yeah, I think that movie is also called All the Bright Places. Yeah.
So my another book is Když vraždí děti, and that's basically like when children kills, I think.
Yeah, and basically like very lovely children who murdered people.
Yeah. It's not in English.
I don't
it's
know
by German author, so I don't think it has even like English translation or something.
Yeah, probably doesn't. I'm sorry, I keep playing with the brightness, but I think I'm good now. So yeah. And my next book is one I have read, but I don't have here with me because it was borrowed, and that was Murder on the Orient Express. It was my first time reading Agatha Christie book. I can't believe I've never read one before, and we all know this story. And I actually really enjoyed this book. It was really well written, and I get the hype now, so that's great. And my next one is All the Colors of the Rainbow, so I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah. So my next book is Spree and Other Stories. It's like this little book with like, I think 10 or 12 stories, if I'm correct. Basically, the first one, the Spree, is the longest one. The first one is pretty weird, but the other stories are pretty cool. So yeah, it's by Lucy Taylor.
So my next book I also don't have here because I don't know where it is, probably somewhere downstairs. And it's the Silver Lining Playbook, and you probably know the movie with Jennifer Lawrence. It came out like in 2012, and I have watched the movie when it came out, and I remember thinking that's so fucking weird. And it's
It gets worse.
and it's one of those like books and movies that cover like mental illness. But this one I haven't really enjoyed, unlike All the Bright Places that also is about mental illness. I mean, both of it is about bipolar, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and this one was so weird. So it was funny that I have watched the movie when I was a lot younger, and I thought this was weird. And I just thought, we got this book in the house so I could read it. Maybe I'm gonna think about it differently now. And I didn't. It was still very weird, and I can't say I really enjoy it. I enjoyed it. It was more of I was intrigued because it was so weird, so I had to finish the book. And also I'm stubborn about finishing books, so yeah.
Yeah. So my next book is The Ritual by Adam Neville. So we both read this book, so he's gonna show it afterwards.
Yeah, I'm gonna...
But basically, it was a very nice book. It's basically just horror / thriller, I think. And it's really cool.
Yeah, it also has a movie, but the movie is pretty different then.
Like,
the movie is not bad, but it's different.
The ending.
The ending is completely different,
different.
yeah. But yeah, it's funny because this book took you like 2 days, and it took me like months and months. I don't know why it took me so long.
Like in 3, maybe 4 days.
And it took me a really long time.
Yeah,
but also I was
sick.
Yeah, I got really sick, so I couldn't properly read. So a couple of the chapters Max actually read out loud to me. So yeah. Yeah. My next book is a Doctor Who book. Doctor Who. We all know Doctor Who, hopefully, and it also has a lot of books by different authors, and this one is called Dalek Generation. And this one was actually like sadder than most of the Doctor Who books that I have read. So I did not enjoy that. I mean, I did enjoy the book, but like it was unnecessarily sad. You know, it's like one of the sad Doctor Who episodes. So this was one, but in a book.
So okay, my next book was actually by Czech author. It's Doktore vražda jedeme. So basically like doctor, murder. Go.
Here comes the murder.
Yeah. And it's basically by like right now he's dead, I think, but it's like like journal of this like doctor who cooperates with policemen.
Yeah. Me just saying a bit ago that I did not read books in English this year, but this one is in English too, and that is Stephen King. From Book 8, and this was also one of the weird books by Stephen King. I don't know, I have read a lot of weird books this year, and it's about a car that is weird, and that's the whole plot.
The car is possessed, right?
We don't know what's with it. The people are just considering what it could possibly be, deciding it could be something from space and shit, but no one really knows anything, and you don't find out anything in the end. You just read about this weird car and ends just being a weird car. So that's it, yeah. And that was my only Stephen King book I have read this year, so I have to get better next year, because I usually read way more Stephen King.
So my next book is true crime again, but this time it's The Stranger Beside Me, Ted Bundy, by Anne Rule. It's like really like long book, but it's nicely written, and it's basically by like former colleague of Ted Bundy, so like it's pretty cool.
That's the one you have won in the
Yeah, I actually won this book in like some kind of competition on Instagram.
So that's fun. My next one is really really predictable, but I promise you this is where my Harry Potter ends this year. I have read the Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix because I don't know why I have to keep doing that to myself. So yeah, I just always am kind of rereading some Harry Potter in the background in the middle of the other books.
So my next actually 4 books are all the Heartstoppers. We have like these 2 in like hardback, and the other 2 we read online.
Yeah, so we have read all of the books, both of us.
And if you don't already know Heartstopper, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. It's like a show on Netflix now.
Yeah.
So
And the comics actually have like pretty nice drawings, but I don't think you can see it. So
yeah,
anyway,
this is
moving on.
I'm filming on my new phone, so I don't have it figured out yet. I'm not sure how it works yet. So far the brightness has been an issue, so I'm sorry if it doesn't look the best. My next book is Dracula. Not Dracula. I have Dracula in my
last
video. The writers were inspired by the author's personal notes and diaries, and that's where they got the information from. And yeah, it was actually, I think I like this more than Dracula, because it's probably spookier. And honestly, look at the cover. Don't you love that? I love that. So yeah, I very much recommend this one.
So my next book is basically the first and last book in English I read this year, and it's Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And we
both read this, so it's on
book,
my
so,
pile.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna show that one later. My next one is called Witch. I very much like the cover. And it was the first book that I have ever read about like the witch trials, and it was pretty interesting. Ironically, I also have read a second one also last year, but I'm gonna get to that later. But yeah, this one was pretty nice. It was I don't have anything to compare it to, because I have never read a book that's similar in writing or story to this, so I have nothing to compare this to. So we just have to read it and live through it yourself.
So my next book is actually by Czech author. It's this psychology book, is Psychology of Mass Murderers, and it's actually non-fiction. You have like some facts there about why they murder people like this and stuff, and it's pretty cool. Actually got the second one this year for Christmas. So yeah, that's it.
So my next one was all over the Bookstagram and like BookTube and shit. So you probably all know this one. It's The Hate You Give, and I know some people have been overly critical over this, but I really enjoyed that one. Well, enjoy maybe it's like overrated, because
it was nicely written.
It was nicely written, but it was not very happy. So I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but I'm glad I have read it. And yeah, also nothing like I've read before, so that's cool.
So my next book is actually kind of a treasure for us, and it's Supernatural, the official companion for season 1. by Nicholas Knight, and look at it. It's so cool. We have also a second, oh no, for second season.
But you haven't read that yet.
I haven't read that yet.
I haven't read.
It's basically
either of those.
full of like facts about the first season. You have basically chapters for all of the episodes and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read those also very soon. I still haven't read.
We also
either
have like music playlist for every of the episode and stuff.
Oh yeah, so if you're a Supernatural fan,
This one especially for you.
yeah, especially the first two is like extreme nostalgia to me.
Yeah.
So my next book has been out of a book series that is the Rosewood Chronicles. I've also talked about this in the last book video, and this time I have read the third one and the fourth one, but we're getting to that later. So this one is the Lost Princess, and what can I say? This was so good. I think this one takes place in Japan too, and it's the combination of all the things I love. And I was just telling Max that this book series feels to me like reading Harry Potter for the first time. Not that it's like super similar to Harry Potter, but the vibes, the enjoyment of the pure just reading. I love how it's written.
The confidence.
Yeah.
So my next book was actually a reread. So it was the first book of Hunger Games. I actually read this books like 5 or 6 times, and I actually reread this because I didn't know what to read, and this is like my comfy book, which is weird. It's not like a happy book, but
I mean, you're telling that to me, so
yeah.
I mean, here is me who still haven't read Hunger Games. Yeah, I still haven't gotten around to it, so that's something I gotta do too. So yeah, my next book is Cemetery Boys. It's this one. You might have heard of it, and oh my god, I love this book. I mean, it's got cemetery in the title. It's for me. The main character is like trans, and there is like weird kind of relationships and ghosty ghost, and I love how it just combines the like queer culture, but also like tradition and also magic, and I love how this incorporates all the things that are fascinating to me just in this one book, and the illustration on the cover is super cute.
So my next 2 books are from one series. It's called Opravdové zločiny in Czech, so basically true crime. I read the first book in like in 2021, and this year I got the second book, so I actually reread the first one. So yeah, it's by Czech author, so that's it. I think.
My next book / books, because I'm gonna talk about those two at once. This is all of the Narnia books. As you can tell, I still haven't finished all the books, but I have read 2 more books of the series this year, and the first one was Prince Caspian, and the other was and I'm sorry if I don't read this right, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I read it in Czech, so this is the first time I've actually seen the title in English when I was translating it for this video. But yeah, 2 of those books this year and 2 left till the end of the series. So I might finish a fucking book series, okay? So that's great. But yeah, chunky. Okay, go ahead.
So my next book was rereading again. So I reread Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda again. You probably all know this one, so I'm not gonna talk about it further. So yeah.
So I'm gonna also talk about those 2 books at once, because they're from the same book series, and of course is the Vampire Diaries. And yes, I still haven't stopped reading Vampire Diaries, and I think I might actually get more books, because I have read all the 5 books that I have now. It's called The Fury, and it's just this stupid story of fucking high school vampires continuing, but me reading it anyway, because, vampires, so yeah. And I'm also gonna cover this one, and that is the next Vampire Diaries called The Reunion.
My next book is Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock, and it's by Matthew Quick, which is the same author.
Same author who written the Silver Lining playbook.
But this book actually wasn't that bad. It's like a really cool book about like teenage boy who like has mental issues. He wants to like commit suicide, but it has nice happy ending, and it's not weird like the book you read. So
I mean, maybe you would have liked it.
I don't think so.
If you didn't like the movie, you're probably not
No,
gonna like the book.
I
Yeah.
didn't like the movie. So
Me going on my caffeine journey. So next book I have here is also not here actually physically, and that is The Demonologist, and someone borrowed it from me. So this book is about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and basically some of the cases with like exorcism and shit. And yeah, if you have like watched The Conjuring and stuff and you wanna see more realistic view on their stories, this book might be for you. And if you're fascinated by like ghosty ghosts and demons, you might like this one. Some people said it's really scary, but I think that's overrating it. It's not as scary, it's just disturbing in a way.
So my next book was like basically a reread, but not like in. Basically, I have this book like as a book here. It's called Meta. It's by Czech author Pavel Bareš, but I read this like 2 or 3 years ago, and this year I listened to audiobooks, so basically reread, you know.
Yes, so the next book for me is another book from the Rosewood Chronicles series, and this one is called Princess at Heart.
Obsessed with it.
I really like this book series. It's actually darker than you think, considering the book covers and shit. Although I very much appreciate how cute they are. And yeah, another book, also very amazing, just like all the books before. And fun fact, I'm actually right at the moment, I just started reading today the last book as I got it for Christmas. So finally I'm gonna finish this book series very soon, and I'm so excited and scared and excited, and I have a lot of feelings about this book series, so yeah.
My next book is actually kind of a funny story. I read it as in like PDF format, and it's actually a book by a lot of Czech authors, more like doctors. And we're gonna talk about the book in like some video in future, but it's basically a book by Petr Weiss mostly, called Transsexuality. And
it's
you
for
can-
the research. That's what we're doing for the videos.
Yeah,
Or this
and-
time you're doing, because I could not have the nerves for it.
It was so bad.
It's so bad, but hopefully we're gonna get around to making the video
I
about
actually
this.
started working on like some stuff about it for the video. I like screenshotted some parts of the book, so
Basically, as we made the last video about what it's like being LGBT in Czech Republic, we also want to make one that's more like just trans people.
Yeah.
And
it's going to be like 3 videos, I think, maybe.
yeah, or 10 hours long video, like, that happens. So yeah, happy as shit now. And my next book is The Usher's Passing. It's this beautiful thick book. And basically you might be familiar with the name Usher, and that is because it's original based on a story by Edgar Allan Poe, which I've also read, but yeah, or reread after reading this. And it's like basically kind of going around this story, and basically like it's about the thought that if this family had another kid who survived, then how it would turn out to be in the future. Because in the original story they all basically die, this whole family, but this is the version where like they would have another sibling that survived, and then like the whole family, and yeah, how it would go. And this was like really interesting. I enjoyed this very much.
So my next book I actually don't have here, but because I listened to it as an audiobook, and it's called The Call of Cthulhu. I think I don't read this right, so
It's
excuse me,
impossible to pronounce this title right.
but it's by H.P. Lovecraft, and it was basically my first book by this author, and I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, so my next book is by a Czech author. See, I told you there were another Vampire Diaries. Anyway, yeah, so this book is by a Czech author, Anna Musilová, and it's called Černooka, or in loose translation, I'm sorry, it's just so shiny again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. In loose translation, it would mean like black-eyed. And it's like a young adult book with this girl who had gone through some trauma, and then it like turns even darker basically, and that's how it ends. It ends very dark. But I really enjoyed reading this one.
So my next and last book of the last year I read is Doctors of Death by Wensley Clarkson, and I actually got this book for Christmas, and it's basically about murderers, but like the one with doctors, like as a job. So yeah,
I'm just gonna take a moment and bring the last book back.
and it was actually pretty cool. So if you're into this shit, so you go read this. And that's basically my last book.
Yeah, and I have still a little pile of books left.
I don't read this much the last year. So.
Yeah, last year I have a bit over 30, and now I have even like 3-4 books more or something.
Yeah, I have like 24. So
yeah, I have
two books per month.
I have over 30 overall. So yeah, so this is my last Vampire Diaries.
I'm going to get comfy and listen to you.
Yeah, so this is the last Vampire Diaries I have read, which is the 5th one, and this one is called The Return, The Nightfall, because we found out they somehow separate in like different sections and everything, and I am not aware of how it works exactly, but this was the 5th one, and yeah, we're keeping that shit story going.
So yeah, this is Brownia.
He's adorable.
It's my new plushie.
So yeah, my next book was really cool, and it was also by a Czech author. I have read a lot of Czech authors this year, especially for me.
I'm surprised.
So the author is called Dominika, which is also in the title. And it's called Dominika na cestě Japonskem, or in translation it would be like Dominika on a journey of Japan. And it's very interesting because it's basically Japan culture from a Czech person's point of view. So yeah, which is very original, and it's interesting because Japanese culture clearly is very different from Czech culture, and I am interested in Japanese culture. I tried learning Japanese for a while, but it didn't work out very well. It's hard. And not only that, but she also travels through the country on her motorbike, and I have a lot of like bikers in my family. I am not one myself, but I have a lot of them in my family, so it was like combination of pretty interesting things to me. Excuse me, the illustrations were so cool, and then like there's always this part of like that is like photo album, and like yeah, it was very cool. So my next one book is Stranger Things, Darkness on the Edge of Town, and Stranger Things have now released quite a lot of books, or a decent amount, and this one specifically is about Hopper and a little bit of his past. So yeah, basically the time he was in New York, and the present time takes place when he was together with Eleven in their cabin, and they couldn't really like see anyone and stuff. So this was the story he was telling her basically about his time in New York as a policeman. My next one is the other book about witch trials, and it's called The Witchfinder's Sister. It looks like this, and this one seemed more brutal than the last one I have read about witch trials. It's basically, as it sounds, it's about this girl whose brother is a witch hunter, and basically what he's forced her to do, and her struggling to do the right thing when she doesn't really have the option to, and shit. That's like very graphic stuff about like abortion, like it's brutal basically, and that's me saying it because I think stuff like this is way more brutal than some ghosty ghost and like fictional story about like their victims and shit, because yeah. And the interesting thing about this, the witch hunter, or witch finder as they call him here, was actually a real person, so they based this off of his notes. He probably didn't even have sister in reality, but they had to like put this character who is normal and not this crazy person who is completely lost in his shit. So yeah, they definitely added some stuff, they remade some stuff, but the part about this actual person is based on reality, which makes it even fucking scarier, you know?
This book we read out loud together, not right?
Yeah, this is technically. Sometimes we read each other like books out loud. This one I have read for you.
Yeah.
And it's very fun. It's it's another children's book.
Kvak až blunk.
In Czech it's Kvak až blunk. In original is Frog and Toad are friends. And if you don't know Frog and Toad, I don't know what you did in your childhood. This book is literally
nostalgic.
It's nostalgic, and it's for the vibes, TM. It's the vibes that get you here, so yeah. So my next one is the one we already talked about, is The Ritual, so I'm just gonna quickly show you the book cover.
It's a pretty big ass book.
Yeah, it's like thick. And it took him only 4 days, I don't get it.
Are you surprised?
No, you're a fast reader and I'm not.
Yesterday, I read one book in like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, I am not a fast reader, but he is. So yeah, my next book is also like a thin book for kids basically, and it's The Addams Family, and it's just based on the animated movie about Addams Family, but I was in a mood for it because I had it lying around for a year without reading it, and also we just
watched reading crisis.
That too, and we also watched Wednesday, so I was like, we're in the mood for this. Good. So my next one, I'm also just gonna quickly say this. It's the one we have both read, and it's Edgar Allan Poe, and this is The Telltale Heart, which we have talked about, and it also has the story about the Asher's family.
And
so
it's actually from the Penguin collection.
Yeah. And my last book of the year, we're getting here, is also by a Czech author. Okay, we got a lot of Czech books this year. And the author is one of the authors. Can you stop shaking it?
Sorry.
And this book is by an author that was actually one of the authors that have written the Rainbow series. So yeah. And this one is called Ve stínu Oscaruše. And it's from a book series, and I was just wondering how the fuck I would translate it, because Oscaruše is a tree, and it just translated it as a cherry tree, but it didn't seem like cherry tree on the picture, so I don't know. Okay, so like basically in the shadow of the cherry tree, and the first half was extremely boring. I'm just gonna say this was not the best book of the year at all, and it was a bit odd at first. It was hard to get in the reading, and basically the first part was very boring, but it got interesting in the end. So yeah, I'm probably not gonna carry on reading this book series, but I'm okay with reading this one. So that's it.
And I have one last question. What's the best book out of all of this?
My best book,
Because
I mean,
for me, it's basically a ritual, I think.
for me, I think it's the Rosewood Chronicles books, which you might have seen that I was very excited about them. Yeah, I think those were, yeah. Okay. So that's the end of the video, and feel free to like and share and subscribe. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
And give us some laugh.
Give us some laugh. Comment on what was your favorite book you have read this year. So yeah, that's it. Till the next time. Bye.